It's time for another ICC. Hello. Welcome to Iced Coffee Chronicles, where we always start at least half empty. I was a good like three quarters today, and I was like still in the car. I was like, oh, I'm gonna stop drinking here. And I just kept sipping. I can't help it. I just, if there's a beverage around me, I just, I just absent-mindedly just sip. And sip and sip and sip and sip and sip and sip. So today, I feel like there was a few shows. Unofficial. There's the It Is What It Is Tarot, where it is what it is and it ain't gonna be what it ain't gonna be. And now there's the Ice Chronicles. I think the Ice Coffee Chronicles are different than It Is What It Is Tarot because Ice Coffee Chronicles kind of like go there and wherever there is, I don't know. And I wish because there was like I had a tagline type thing that popped into my head before I did it the first time. I can't remember what it was. It was like something like keep all hands, legs, arms, legs, and appendages inside the whatever at all times. If you veer from the path, you venture so at your own risk, type whatever, because we're going through the void. And if you drop off, hopefully you got a buddy or a friend that can help. Anyway, I don't know. I can't remember what it was. Sorry. I don't know. Let's get into this. I think I'm going to. I have the gold one again. I actually got two of these. Hey, Hallie, how you doing? Uh, uh, I got the. I think so. When I was live last time, and I was like, I want to try the whole elemental thing again. So Ace through Knights is Aries through Pisces, and then the element of that sort of sign, or the element of that number. Oh, look, we got Earth. Who is this? The Leo and Virgo of Earth, Earth of Leo and Virgo. So like that. And I had an idea because there's one spread that I built that was more elementally like focused or whatever. I guess if you want to say it that way. I mean, I guess I just did. And I was like, oh, I could use it in that spread. And then I was like, well, why stop there? So I'm going to use this and I'm going to use the D10 function. I think I only went up to 9. And I think 8. No, 7. I only went up to 9 and I accidentally skipped one. And I never went back and built it. So if it gives a number that I don't have a spread for, then if it gives 9, I'll use a different spread. If it gives a 10, I do not smoke, unfortunately. I say unfortunately because I have like hooded eyes. And in high school, everybody thought I was like always high. I'm like, no, I don't smoke. That's just my eyelid. um, if it gives a number besides 10, like that one gap, it's either at like maybe at 7. If it gives that, I'll go for another spread. If it gives 10, then I'll like free flow it or whatever. And I'll see what's up. And I'm gonna do my best. I feel like start with certain intentions and then we just get lost along the way. I have given it a spin. At least I got enough iced coffee to start. The number today is 8709. And it looks like it's number 1. I actually have a 0. I don't know what I was thinking. I think number 1 is interesting. I gotta pull this. Luckily, I added this yesterday, so I actually have all of these. And I'm gonna go for the original. Oh, oh no. Wait, no, no. Okay, it should be on this one. Yeah, here it is. Oh my gosh, this is literally the spread that I was thinking about. Kirsty, hello, how are you doing? How art thou today? Okay, so this is actually the spread I was thinking of using this with. And so I kind of want to modify this a little bit though. And because I love the deck dungeon challenges, we're gonna do it with that. So I think I can make a note. So the first card is gonna be, well, maybe we shouldn't do the challenge. First card will be a central theme. Let's do that. First card will be a central theme. I ain't got no brain. I ain't got barely any brain. So the first card, because the way I numbered this, the card in the center actually isn't the first card. So the first card will be the challenge. The second card will be I want to do the whisper. The third card will be like a central theme. And then we have the elements. For the elements, I kind of wanted to, I also had an idea to like pick a set number of cards, like 10, and then break them down by like elements. So I think I might do that again, or I'll do 8. We'll do 10. And then we'll have this eighth card. Okay. I know that makes like no sense to anybody who doesn't see it. Hey Barry, how you doing? Ba, 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 ba. Well, it's good to see you. I don't know why I'm so sinky today. I have no idea. Feel so singy, singy. Ba, 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 ba. Glad to hear it. Ba, ba, ba. The more earth. The Earth. Now we got the Earth of Scorpio and the Earth of, well, we had the Earth of Leo before. I think it was the Earth of Leo and the Earth of Virgo. Now we got the Earth of Scorpio. Here we have the Magician. Magician is interesting. This makes me think of the Magician model known tarot, I guess, because in that Magician, represented as a cheetah and the pawn the pentacle. Interesting. Okay, let's see. We're gonna do our best. Shuffle all of these together. Cool. That now, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna pull. So when I these, there are some cards that come from and some cards that come from the top. I'm just gonna stop there. Honor that. So one, two, three. I guess I'm in the order they come in. I have enough room. That's not all I want to. That's 2, 3, 4. 5, 7, 8. I don't know where this goes. We'll put it there. 9, 10. That is so interesting. And then this one, the Two of Cups, which is interesting because of how this is built. Bottom of the deck is the Four of Wands. The Four of Wands actually came out recently, but this is the Fire of Cancer. I kind of like the Fire of Cancer. The Fire of Cancer feels interesting. That's the heart. The Fire of Cancer is the heart specifically. I guess it could also be, but it doesn't feel different because Cancer is also one of those cookie signs, the signs that love to cook, especially for people that they care for, right? And the idea was the hearth is like the fireplace, which is like what everyone gathers around. But the same comfort that you feel from the fire of the hearth in the cold is the same comfort that you feel when you eat the whatever that cancer made of, right? So this actually isn't gonna work out how I thought because the card that came out in the space of the challenge is major arcana. There are no challenges when it comes to the major arcana, but I'm here. The card that came out is the devil, which is like interesting. But I'm curious to see what the boon that they list for this card is. You know what I mean? So what I did was I laid out the elements. The 10 cards that I counted out were the 10 cards of an element. And when I came upon a major, I just laid it in the next spot. Now, I was able, no, because I got more air. Earth is the only element. It's interesting because I mentioned how everything was like, oh my gosh, my laptop isn't plugged up. This may die. 1 second. Oh my gosh, because I gotta go all the way. It's not even plugged into the wall. Ah. Okay, I think we're gonna be okay. Yeah, we're gonna be all right. It'll be so hilarious if it just like died. All right. My computer said energy saver mode turned on, and I was like, "What?" And then I was like, "Oh my gosh, I never plugged it up." We're not gonna experience that anyway. Um, it's interesting because I was like, it was the Earth of what Cancer, Leo, and Scorpio. I was like, all this Earth energy, and then like no Earth card. No. Three of Cups, Ace of Cups, the Hangman sitting in air, which is appropriate for the Hangman. With the Ten of Swords and the King of Swords, Ace of Wands, Nine of Wands, Knight of Wands, and then in Earth it was just the Hermit, which is also appropriate, and Strength because I didn't know where else to put Strength. So those 10 cards, we didn't get any pinnacle. The way the weave is from the Nine of Coins. The central theme is the Knight of Chalices. And the Two of Cups is it. Let's see. I just want to look this up real quick. The fate altering boon of the devil is the party receives huge personal gains in wealth and power, but also gains new flaws. Or the party gains advantage on all charisma decision checks. Oh, that makes sense. Oh, why did I close that? Let me go to this real quick. I don't know. We're gonna see. Actually, that's interesting because that almost feels appropriate. The party receives huge personal gains in wealth and power, but also gains new flaws. It almost feels like it's one of those of like there's some kind of success that is met, but that there's some new, it almost like metaphorically, it makes me think of someone, it's like the storyline from a show every now and then, and maybe it's real life, of like there's a person who's like not conventionally attractive for like all the way to high school or whatever, but then they experience a glow up, and with the glow up, mm, they're like then they start to think they're like not better than everybody else, but their ego grows in a way that it wasn't there before. And so like that's the new flaw that comes with an upgrade in experience, or like if it is about money, like let's say that there's someone who isn't like super wealthy, and when they're not super wealthy, they're like very generous and giving because they understand what it's like to go without. But then they come into great money and now all of a sudden they're like miser, and they don't want to like help anybody with anything. And it's like, but when you didn't have, and it's like it's the same person. Like when you didn't have anything, you were so generous, but now you're so selfish. What happened? Like money changed you type energy. And so I guess the Two of Cups is to experience the windfall, but not be changed by it. It's for the unfortunate to come into abundance, but remain generous. It's for the unattractive to blow up, but remain like a nice person. You know what I mean? Almost gives a different meaning to the whole new levels, new devils sort of thing. And with the nine of coins here, because it's like it's this true it's something grounded within, right? And I guess that's the difference. It almost makes me think of like again in the same experience or the same trope. Like let's say there was someone who wasn't very attractive, and so they were nice because they thought they had to be in order to attract a partner. It's almost like they were like, well, I don't have the looks to just whatever, so let me try to be have some kind of redeeming quality, but that redeeming quality wasn't grounded in like who they are. That was just their way of trying to like hook somebody because they didn't think that their looks could do it. And that's the difference. That's why when they glow up, they change, but they change into a version of themselves that's in some ways truer to who they actually are. They just didn't think they could be that way because whatever. Yeah, you get it. I don't know where we're going. I feel like this should be an is. I almost said this. Welcome to it is what it is. Tarot word is what it is, and it ain't gonna be what it ain't gonna be. But I'm drinking iced coffee, so Now in the water, we have the water of and the water of Aries. And then in air, we have the air of Capricorn and masculine air with the hangman there. And fire, we have the fire of Aries, the fire of Sagittarius, and the fire of Pisces. It's interesting that we have the fire of Pisces in this little water situation, um, instead of Leo, because Aries and Sagittarius are both here. And then in the earth is the hermit in strength, which is 9 and 8. Two is the two of chalices and what's central of chalices. With the fire of Cancer at the bottom of the deck, or the fourth one. Excuse me, at the bottom of the deck. I can see this. And I feel like it's literally just that. Like the water with not that Gemini isn't, this isn't anything about like the signs. I'm trying to also see how I would read the cards this month. So I'm like playing with it. And this is the spread that I had the idea to play with it because it's one that I've built that specifies the elements. And then the spinner said one, and I was like, "Oh my gosh, no way!" Uh, but it's almost like it's the almost more surface level nature of Gemini, and it's not surface level because Gemini lack of depth. It's surface level because it's almost like the speed of Mercury. You know what I mean? Or it's like house energy, right? Not everyone in the third house is the fourth house, or is welcomed into the fourth house or any house beyond that. More like associates type whatever. I want to say congenial, but I don't think that's the word that I want. And then with Aries, the water of Aries is like, oh, like let's do this, let's do that. If I got to, so this is energy that's like, in order to fit in, if it has to do whatever, it's gonna do whatever to fit in. Because that's where the emotions are. Now, when it comes to the air, we have Capricorn and this masculine. I feel like the masculine air and the hangman of this is an idea. It's a perception of what it has to be, right? Like if we see, again, high school. I was just talking about high school with somebody earlier. It's like if all of the pretty popular people are like mean or whatever, then there's this idea that forms of like, oh, well, if you're pretty and popular, then you have to be mean and condescending and look down on people. Or again, with the money, like if you come into wealth, because it's kind of known, it seems like the more money someone has, the less generous they are with it. Or at least that's what people say of the world. But it becomes like, because that is repeatedly observed, or because that's the majority of the observation, there are these connections between one and the other. Like a station, a status, a role in society in some kind of way, and then the type of person that you have to be. Now, with the hangman here, it is almost, it feels like there's that counter nature that is known. So like this is someone who may be like, well, I'm not really like that, but if that's who I have to be in order to hold this position or role, then that's who I'm gonna be. And again, like with the air of Capricorn, that's sort of the foundation that it builds, because Capricorn speaks to foundations. When it comes to fire, we have Aries and Sagittarius and Pisces. This actually, I'm almost surprised there isn't a tower energy here, because when it comes to the element of fire, and this is it's a metaphor. Take it for resonates. If it don't resonate, don't take it. It's like so the water and the air was very like almost more like local, or it was more in the developmental phase of one's life. And while one was developing, this is what they saw and observed. These are the things that they came to believe about who one has to be in order to whatever. It feels like the fire of Sagittarius expands this to a more global sort of lens or focus. And in that's when someone realizes, like, oh, I don't have to be like this in order to have this role, whatever. And then again, like we get the fire of Pisces that comes in, and that's like the expansive mind or the expanded nature of both Pisces and Sagittarius, actually. Jupiter, Jupiter moves into fire. Now, I think this could also be something like because it's the whole of Jupiter that moves in, there could be a time or a moment where someone realizes, like, I don't want to do this. I don't want to be this way. So I'm going to do things the way that I want to do it. And I'm going to do it in a way that makes me feel good about myself and it makes me feel a light or it brings a new fire, a new drive to something. And in doing it that way, it feels like that's what also sort of like attracts something or it validates and verifies that like I don't have to be like everybody else in this arena. I can like do it my own way. And like again, all of Jupiter moving in is that it's validated. And then in Earth, it's hermit and strength. So it feels like there's a period of validation in that way. But then after that validation, it feels like it plays into the all blazer reness of it to be someone in that arena who is different. So to be the abundantly wealthy, but also generous, or to experience that glow up, but still remain, again, like Two of Cups, but it's to do so in a way where like other people see it because it's almost like the same limited perspective or perception that one would have grown up under. Like it's a common conception that is held. And because it's so commonly held, there are so many who seek whatever also change them, say, who also change themselves in way in order to get whatever it is that they want to go or be whoever it is that they want to be or whatever. Again, probably knowing that it's not them really because the hangman is here in air, in the same air that's like, oh, well, if I want to be a CEO, then I guess that means I gotta not care about the people who work at my company or I gotta screw people over. And it's like, no. But whatever, again, it feels like the fire validates, but when it comes into earth, it's for someone to be rooted, grounded enough. Again, the nine of pentacles is like the remedy to this or whatever. Grounded enough in self to be strong, be that outside of self, to show people there's another way. Feels like showing people that there's another way, almost incidental. Excuse me, it isn't necessarily at some point, maybe it becomes the point, but also it's something that someone does for themselves. You know what I mean? Cool. That wasn't very difficult. I feel like that's literally it. Because something is coming, because someone is growing in something. And it's almost like, again, like as they grow, they kind of sort of start to change or get away from who they actually are because of who they believe they have to be. Because it's the Knight of Chalices, this almost feels like it's more of a spiritual or emotional sort of uh, context rather than like money, business, whatever. So, for example, low hanging fruit. Let's say that there's someone who is new to something. And when they're new, they have a lot of questions and they know there's not a lot of stuff that they know. And they have these gurus, mentors, just people that they look up to, right? They go about their life, they go about their journey, they find themselves knowing more than they did before, or at least feeling like they do. Maybe they also find themselves with people who then see them as they once saw someone else. And maybe with the pressure of that, it's like, well, now that I have people like coming to me for advice or seeking guidance through my connection or whatever, I feel like I have to know everything. I feel like I have to adopt this whole new persona now that I have those who look up to me. And so then it's like it starts to warp and twist and distort a lot of stuff. And it's like it doesn't have to. You can be the guru or person that people look up to and still not know everything and still have questions. You know what I mean? Or you don't have to adopt a certain suite of practices and a whole bunch of other stuff that doesn't resonate to you in order to fit a mold and be or do whatever. Because again, it's like you would know that it's not you, but you would think, and this is a general you, it's no specific you would think that there's like more that you have to do in order to be like legit or whatever. But when you do things your way, it feels like there would be an expansion there. Again, with the Jupiter, like you get an entire Jupiter in fire. Sagittarius and Pisces is with a sprinkle in Neptune. And when it comes to the element of fire, you probably want a healthy sprinkle of Neptune. Actually, fire and Neptune is the smoke. It's the fire of Neptune that helps to outcompete, beat out, warm the fog so that you're not just like lost out there. If we got the Jupiter of water, Neptune and water, oof, Neptune and air, Neptune and fire, it's like fire is a natural balance to Neptune energy. It keeps it like alive, if that makes sense. Um, keeps the body warm while the soul is out there doing whatever the soul is doing. Because if the body goes too cold, girl, you ever seen like a movie or a show or whatever where someone's like astral projecting, but then like they get lost and their body just kind of like without the consciousness to animate it, you know? Anyway, that whole Jupiter comes in the element of fire. And then it's that again, so it's like not only is there something deeper within the self that's discovered with this hermit energy, but it's also important to have the strength to maybe like be honest about it. Because that's the way that those perceptions are broken on a larger level, on a grander stage or scale. Since I said I would read the Whisper of the Weave of the Nine of Coins, I'm gonna do it. I will do it because I said I would. Two of coins. Okay, we are in the right element because I am not 100% sure what order they put these in. Here's a still of the Nine of Coins if you're interested. There she is. And the coins are a spinning. I love that they each like they don't all spin at the same time in the same direction. Looks like they're kind of partnered up, kind of paired up. I might need a whatever. So let's see. Ba, 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 ba. I'm gonna read the entire entry. So the favorite spell of the Nine of Coins is Hallow. Upright keywords: material abundance, self sufficiency, property, gratitude, and luxury. A ranger is a good example of independence, but not the kind of independence the nine of coins represents. Both the ranger and the nine are self reliant, but the ranger thrives in the most untamed environments, whereas the nine enjoys hard earned material comforts. This card shows the success and security that result in planning and dedication. While sometimes this affluence lends itself to social standing, that's not what the nine of coins is about. On the contrary, the nine values a prosperous lifestyle, not necessarily an aristocratic. The latter can lead to overspending, excess, and an overblown sense of grandiosity, pitfalls that can affect anyone, no matter their class, feats, or hit point maximum. Love that. So you can choose a number one through five. I'm gonna read all five of them. I'm also gonna do this thing that's not on the table anymore. A little spin. There's a D6 on here on the other side. Yep, there's the six. Well, a light tap. Oop, that may have been too much. So I'm gonna read these and then maybe it'll stop by the time I'm done. So the first whisper: what would constitute material success for you? What's one step you can take toward creating that success? The second: who do you rely on, perhaps too heavily? Or who do you rely on, perhaps too heavily? What can you do to gain independence, financial or otherwise? The third: whom have you judged based on their financial or social standing? How can you see this person for who they really are? The fourth: what luxuries do you enjoy and how can you share them with others? And the fifth: what are you grateful for in your life? How can you make expressing gratitude a regular practice? This landed on two. The second: who do you rely on, perhaps too heavily? What can you do to gain independence, financial or otherwise? Now, instead of, it feels like the who was like a nebulous who, not necessarily like a specific person, but again, an echelon of people. So your favorite CEOs or the successful people you know, the pretty people you know, the celebrities, the class of people who listen to guru, mentor, guide, person with a following. But I love that it was like the whole aristocratic social standing, whatever, it's not the point of this, but you often find them partnered together. Cool. I feel like that's fairly complete. I could end the video here and it'd be less than 40 minutes, but since this went so quick, I want to do another one. I'm gonna leave the deck as it is though, but I will take the bottom of the deck because we've already seen it. And like I said, I pulled from the top and the bottom. These. So that was the first one. There is something that is changing. And just because your circumstances or situation changes, just because your standing changes, doesn't mean that you have to. In a way that makes you less you. Now, you may change in way, but that was the thing, though. We will change in ways that are more us. The nice, the generous, the whatever, for the person who is, that's a very blanket statement and it's not necessarily 100% true. Like there's a range of applicability. Uh, but that's like, it feels like that's what someone thought they had to be because of their circumstances. Again, that's a person that's nice because they don't view themselves as attractive. And so nice is what they think they have to be to get a partner. They're being nice because they want to like bed somebody. They're not being nice because they're a nice person. And that's why sometimes when they get you or when they get somebody and they stop being nice, it's because nice is what they thought they had. would be to get what they want and the having of something. So don't let your truth be diluted or changed because of circumstances. Cool. One. Yay! Two. Ooh, three. Wow. You love the sound effect? All right. So one, two, three, four, five, six, seven, eight, nine, 10. I guess that's where my hand went, so that's where it's going. The Two of Wands, from the Two of Cups to the Two of Wands. That's where this is. Oh, that's so. Oh my gosh, how fitting, how appropriate. Bottom of the deck is the Lovers. Oh my gosh, how fitting, how under the Lovers is the High Priestess. I need to figure out where to put that so that you can see the cards, but you can see them. So the central theme this time is the King of Wands. That dude we just saw like yesterday. Oh my gosh, what? And so for the world to be in someone's hand and the Two of Wands with the King of Wands here, and you can even see it in the Two of Wands around that one that they're holding. And the world is moving because when we and the Ace of Coins is here, by the way. But when we saw this King of Wands, it was like there's something that he does in this stationary position that affects the world around. And so it's like that, it's coming back. We're back on that line. So elementally, the order of the elements here is air, water, earth, and then fire. There is a representative of the action, like there is a zodiac representative of the element for every element. We don't have a earth situation like we did last time where it was all major arcana. So the challenge is the Ace of Swords, the whispers of the reed, the resolution, even like it's see that moving air, the air is moving, and then like the world is spinning in his hand as that sparkly stuff is dancing around the wand. Cool. This is the ICC. I'm kidding. This is something that we've been touching on for a hot minute. But also, maybe the other thing was a pretext, a precursory thing, because there is an increase. Some may find that their ability to influence the events, circumstances, and how they play out in their lives increases, right? Maybe it's there's something about manifestation. Maybe that's like going to be kicking it up a notch, and so we don't want to be like little. We don't want to recreate history with new players as we come into this. Like if you're manifesting a better, bigger, brighter world for everybody, when you manifesting power, like keep that in mind, right? You can get your money and your cars and all of that other stuff that you've always wanted to manifest, but if you could spare a thought for the rest of us in the world, that would be cool. Or you could just shut out the rest of the world and live your manifestation fantasy, you know? Do you? And then the chariot here is interesting. The intertwining of the snakes and the caduceus on the Two of Cups, it played into that, like, both, like, you can have something and not be changed by it. But the chariot is so forthright or so upfront about the balancing of forces being necessary for something to move forward, you know? It's a lot more intentional or a lot more focused on that. Maybe. I don't know how else to say it besides intentional. It is a lot more intentional. The Ace of Swords. I don't think the Ace of Swords is the one that takes us from seeking to finding. We'll see. The challenge here and the Ace of Swords. Oh, this is different. Okay, I know what the truth of the ten is. So, four flying swords hover in the middle of this room. Four flying swords makes me think of the Four of Swords in the Watermelon's Herald immediately. Anyway, four flying swords hover in the middle of this room. As soon as a creature comes within 15 feet of one of the swords attack. Each sword has a string of letters engraved along its blade. The first one has THODACO, the second OUTOTEP, the third USHOOTE, and the fourth CTERNON. If the swords are grappled in this order, they allow themselves to be held. If they are grappled in any other order, they continue to fight. If a sword is reduced to 0 hit points, it falls to the floor inert. If the swords are placed side by side, the following sentence can be read across their blades. Touch us to the door at once to open. Putting all four swords into contact with the door at the same time causes it to unlock. Three of the swords vanish when the door unlocks, and the fourth sword drops to the floor inert. The letters on the sword change to spell sharp witted. The sword is now a dancing sword and can be taken from the room when exiting. Wow. Wow. Wait. I thought, because my brain, I've scrolled past this, but I've never read it because this is the first time that It's a Source is coming in the challenge. I thought you would have had to like unscramble the word on, oops. I thought you would have like had to unscramble the word on each sword in order to like render it in it or whatever. But you can see here that when you grab them in order, this is what it looks like. Touch us to the door to, oh, what? Touch us to the door at once to open. It's like, why? And it's interesting that there are four flying swords and we have four elements here. So the first sword, the sword of air, it's the air of Leo and Sagittarius. The air of Leo and Sagittarius, and then the air of Aries is the challenge. So we're in the air of fire. The sword of water is the tower, followed by the air of Leo, the air of Capricorn, and feminine water. Feminine water between Leo. The sword of earth is the earth of Aries and the earth of Capricorn. And then the sword of fire is the fire of Capricorn and the star. It's interesting that we see the star in the same space as the King of Wands too, because the star was in his too. It was actually the King of Wands, Judgment, and the star. That was the three. Now I don't have enough space to arrange these in a way. Actually, if we just take the first two cards, it's interesting that all of these have two cards except for water. For a minute, it was like water, water, water. I was like, is the rest of this going to be water? So if we read this across, the first row is the Five of Swords, the Tower, the Ace of Pentacles, and the Ten of Wands. And then the second row is the Nine of Swords, the Five of Cups, the Ten of Pentacles, and the Star. And oh gosh, the Nine of Swords just like flew out of my hand. And then it'd be the Queen of Cups, and then the Ten of Cups, which is actually the Water of the Empress, the challenge of the Queen of Cups. She can only reveal as much as is wise to say. And so when she's been appearing, it's like it's almost more about what she isn't saying than what she is saying. And so for the Ten of Cups to be behind her is like interesting. Especially because the Ten of Wands and the Ten of Swords is here. No, the Ten of Swords was in the last one. The Ten of Pentacles is here. Ten of Pentacles, Ten of Wands, Ten of Cups. The Ten of Swords was in the last one. So between these two, we've seen Capricorn energy in every element. And again, Capricorn, at least for me, is all about the foundation. But it's a foundation that's built with the future in mind. We do what we do today so that in multiple generations, they will have something. So it's about things that like we never even personally see, mostly. Cool. And then the chariot is here again. The chariot being the energy, but this is actually she's giving more Iditarod, I guess, than Roman Gladiator, just because this chariot would have four horses to pull instead of just two. It's also interesting that the tower, I caught the tower when it came out because I mentioned it in the last one. Now that was between air and fire. Mostly in the fire, it felt like it would have been a tower. Because in fire was Aries and Sagittarius, and then Pisces. It was that realization of like, I don't have to be somebody that I'm not while I do this or while I hold this position or while I'm on this journey. I don't have to allow myself to be changed in negative ways just because I'm experiencing a and like a windfall to this magnitude. You don't have to take on that new personal flaw because the flaw isn't yours. The flaw is one that corrupts those. They say absolute power corrupts absolutely, opportunity makes a thief. Sometimes those things just reveal, right? If all you need is opportunity to steal something, you're a thief. If like literally all you're waiting is an opportunity, like girl, it's already in you. You know what I mean? And that's different than like I'm starving and I'm stealing food to feed myself and my like little orphan, whatever. Like it's not the same. If all you need is a little bit of power to treat people like garbage, then it's like sometimes it reveals. Again, it reveals. But I guess with devil energy, it reveals a darker side of someone or an unfortunate truth. It reveals the thing that we didn't necessarily want to see. That's why they say don't meet your heroes because your heroes are human too. Anyway, here, and it's interesting that there's a sword that you take with you. I would assume, again, water is the longest. On the other side of that Queen of Cups is the Ten of Cups. It looks like the Sword of Water is the one that we take. And maybe that's why this tower is here on the element of water. We also saw the tower with this King of Wands, and it was the energy. Well, it was like the Fool in the tower. The Fool left out of the tower before, but here I did also say it's almost like there's something towards, we don't know where the throne of the King of Wands is, but when he accumulates enough power, it's giving me atmospheric sciences, and I don't know much of anything about atmospheric sciences, but it's like while this King of Wands is like doing this power charge thing, again, it's leaching out into the world around him, which causes which causes the concentrations of ions in the air around him to shift. The air around the King of Wands heats up as he's doing whatever this is. And it creates this atmospheric disturbance that causes this like freak lightning storm. And again, it's like it's raining fire instead of water because it's like it's something here. But it almost feels like when the sword of water is removed from whatever room this Ace of Swords is in, it's like the room crumbles. It's like Indiana Jones, right? You take the relic, the idol, the whatever off of the pedestal out of its place, and everything sort of like crumbles around it because it was only built to house this thing. And now that the thing is gone, it no longer has a reason to exist. The thing that it houses is like, and again, like it's the longest one. And we just had the Two of Cups. So Taurus is actually sitting in a very interesting space because we've seen the water of Taurus and now the fire of Taurus. Uranus is currently in Taurus. And Uranus and Taurus had the energy of the Three of Swords. Whenever I read Mars conjuncting Uranus in Taurus, Uranus ended with that whole like there were three things that were born at the marriage of fire and water. There is the fire that evaporates water, there's water that douses the fire, and then there's that third state where water and fire exist in perfect harmony and one doesn't put out the other. Now you could apply that water fire sort of logic to light and shadow or light and darkness. There's the light that chases out the darkness that attempts to consume the light, and then there's the third one that is the balance of the two, where they exist harmoniously, where one isn't trying to overcome the other, even though they are uh, what diametrically opposed, polar opposites. And again, that sort of plays into this chariot. That third instance walk in balance with each other. The one that isn't necessarily as readily available. It's giving almost elements and their natural forms, right? It's like an element is a solid, a liquid, or a gas at a certain temperature and under a certain pressure. And because atmospheric conditions are what they are, we more often than not find an element in a specific state. There are some elements that it's like, is it gallium? I think it's gallium, but for some reason, my brain also wants to say bismuth, where like the warmth of your body is enough to cause it to melt. So like the few degrees that you warm it in your hand, it'll start to like melt because it's again, it's the right temperature. And it feels like we see this fire, water, light, dark sort of polarity more naturally in the state where fire extinguishes water, light chases out dark, or fire evaporates water, light chases out dark, or water douses fire, dark consumes the light. It's like we rarely see it naturally in that perfect, whatever sort of form. Again, it feels like the last one is a precursor to this one in some way. It's because it's the balance of getting something and not being changed by it allows us to walk further down this path where they are aligned and one doesn't compete with the other. I'll keep moving it this way so that they don't move backward. But in reality, it goes from what is it? Two steps forward, one step back. Two steps forward and one step back. And two steps forward. Yeah. I'll read the whispers of the weave of the chariot. That's what I'm doing here. And you can pick. Oh, I never. Oh yeah, it landed too. I did say that. So I'm gonna go. I'm gonna keep it upright so it's easier to see where this. It just keeps sliding. Oh wait, it was gone. This I'm spinning it backwards. Okay, why not? That's the direction I want it to move in. So let's see if we can't find the chariot. There's the emperor. So the chariot should be here. Oh, I didn't look up hallow. Hallow, it feels like it's to make something sacred. Hallow 5e. And it's October now. You can touch a point and infuse an area around it with holy or unholy power. The area can have a radius up to 60 feet, and the spell fails if the radius includes an area already under the effect of a hallow spell. The affected area is subjected to the following effects. First, celestials, elementals, fae, fiends, and undead can't enter the area, nor can such creatures charm, frighten, or possess creatures within it. I love that. That was the nine of coins. That was the one who was like grounded in their self. That's the whole like opportunity doesn't make a thief. Power doesn't corrupt the incorruptible. Like within that hallowed ground, not only can those entities not enter, you could say without permission, but not only can they not enter, but like they can't affect anything within that area either. That's why that devil energy, like strength of character is the foil to that. So you get great power and you get great abundance without this whole new flaw because you know that that's not you. You know what I mean? Love it. It's all you get it. Any creature charmed, frightened, or possessed by such a creature is no longer charmed, frightened, or possessed upon entering the area. You can exclude one or more of those types of creatures from this effect. You can exclude one or more. So again, without permission, nobody can enter. Love it. Second, you can bind an extra effect to the area. Choose the effect from the following list, or choose an effect offered by the dungeon master. Some of these effects apply to creatures in the area. You can designate whether the effect applies to all creatures that follow a specific deity or leader, or creatures of a specific sort, such as orcs. When a creature that would be affected enters the spell's area for the first time on turn, or starts its turn there, it can make a charisma saving throw. On a success, the creature ignores the extra effect until it leaves the area. So, courage is one effect. Affected creatures can't be frightened while in the area. Darkness fills the area. Normal light, as well as magical light created by spells of a lower level than the slot you use to cast this spell, can't take the area. Bright light fills the area. There's your light dark play. Magical darkness created by spells of a lower level than the slot you use to cast the spell can't extinguish the light. Energy protection. Affected creatures in the area have resistance to one damage type of your choice, except for bludgeoning, piercing, or slashing. So, except for physical damage, because it's energy protection. Still physically vulnerable. Energy vulnerability. Affected creatures in the area have vulnerability to one damage type of your choice, except for bludgeoning, piercing, or slashing. Everlasting rest. Dead bodies interred in the area can't be turned into undead. Extra dimensional interference. Affected creatures can't move or travel using teleportation or by extra dimensional or interplanar means. Fear. Affected creatures are frightened while in the area. Silence. No sound can emanate from within the area and no sound can reach into it. Tongues. Affected creatures can communicate with any other creature in the area, even if they don't share a common language. So those are the effects of the Hallow that was the favorite spell. And again, it makes sense for the context in which now love it. It's foolproof. The reason why I sigh, because it is devil proof. But if somehow one is convinced to allow devils into that area or devil energy into that area, then it won't be devil proof, regardless of the like hallow of. And it feels like that's the play in the mind and the swords. That's why we're so convinced that you have to be a way or do a certain thing when you reach a certain station. It preserves it preserves the integrity of that space, but it's an integrity that like no one desires. It feels like a lot of the people in that space are the way that they are because they also think that they have to be. And again, but that's why I was like, so I thought it like it was more of an internal tower energy, but it's also it becomes this like beacon or this thing that's erected within that space, going back to the hermit in strength, where it's like you don't have to be a certain way to be this. And that's what changes it. So now you can be in that space, you can cast Hallow and not think, not believe that you have to allow devil energy to come into that space because you really don't. But devil energy will try to convince you that you do. And I think a lot of times we kind of sort of keep those hallowed spaces open to devil energy, even though we think that we're not or we don't intend to, because of our preconceptions about that space, because of the things that we think we have to allow, or because we're following someone else's whatever, you know? That was the hallow. I never looked it up. So let's get back to this chair. Primary attributes, primary abilities of the chariot: strength, constitution, skill. These are athletics and survival. Upright keywords: action, determination, assertiveness, and assurance. There is no creature to draw the chariot than the Sphinx, whose demeanor and tirelessness reflect charioteer's drive toward his towards there. I'll actually say he is, because there's been like a lot of masculine coming out. This like actually divine masculine energy. This divine masculine energy that doesn't feel the same need to just assert itself. I mean, it's kind of sort of been coming out from it, but divine masculine. Also a divine masculine that can center a feminine and let her have her moment, not be emasculated by, right? This divine masculine. It's a good thing. As a distinct divine nature. Okay, I'll start at the beginning. There is a creature to draw the chariot than the whose assured demeanor and fearlessness reflect the chariot toward his destination. Nothing stops the chariot moving forward. As his divine nature proclaims the need for sleep and food, chariot is unstoppable. Neither inhibitions nor opposition to progress. Clock the hallow that within that hallowed ground. there's no fear. You say that the fear is there, it ain't there. Also, the boon of the devil gave advantage charisma rolls. That was more so, so I don't know how applicable that is to resisting the of hell. But anyway, that was completely because it's not deceptive. Well, I don't know. The chariot does not stop inhibitions, fear, nor opposition halt this progress. Whether traveling to abstract a neighboring village or other plane altogether, its motion is constant and courageous. Just as aware bears its basest impulse, the chariot puts aside emotions and whimsy for the sake of whether where the lovers values and passions, the chariot acts upon them with direction, self-belief, and discipline to avoid distraction path to victory. Lovers is at the bottom with the high priestess. The sun is behind the high priestess. The sun's also made an appearance in that with the high priest, because that was the thing that tapped into. That was that goal here. That while they were seven of pentacles in, they took something. Now, King of Wands, they come into a math at something. Yeah. So that's it. It's that it said the chariot puts aside and stuff, but it's because that is the sword that is long enough to make it out of this room. But parts that exit the room, it's like when it comes, which the Queen of Cups is not to say, doesn't reveal because she understands it has to be like it's some has to be experienced in order to like make sense or something. And that's what we got today. And then I'm gonna leave it right there. Not even gonna get a final card today. I feel like I guess it would have been a great idea to use this spread when I was like, I can use this spread. Oh, three. Three is the number today. I didn't. Where's the whisper of the weave? Is there any weave, or is it just the entry? I forgot to read the whispers. There are whispers. Let me read the whispers. I'll only read the third one because three is the number that came out, and now I gotta go to the restroom. Where have you always wanted to travel? What plans can you set in motion to make the journey possible? And there you go. I hope you all have an amazing whatever whenever you see this. I hope you're acting in alignment to make all that you wish to experience your reality, whatever you need along your path or any way you find. And until next time, keep on keeping on. For those of you who stopped by, thank you.